Good morning, everyone, and welcome to session number 4 of our 2020 VRMU. I see the participants starting to roll in, so we're going to give everyone just a few seconds before we get into our introductions. I hope that everybody is having an amazing Wednesday morning. And first things first, just on behalf of everyone here at VRM, we want to wish each and every veteran out there a very happy Veterans Day. And we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service and dedication to our country and everything that you've done for us as the United States. So thank you and happy Veterans Day, everyone. This morning, we are super excited to kick off session number 4 of VRMU 2020. This session is all about season grid updates and how to import and export. I think it's actually, I got opposite, how to export and import rates. Michelle had corrected me that before. Export and import rates with Christian Hillebrand. Christian is our Director of Quality Assurance here at VRM. Those of you who have gotten to meet him, he was at VRMU last year. So if you haven't, this is a great time for an introduction to him. We also have on the Zoom call with us today, we have Michelle and Tammy, who you all know and love. Michelle and Tammy are here to answer any kind of auxiliary questions that may come up about the VRM product itself and the integration of your season grids or the export and import rates. So they're here to help you and answer your questions. There is a Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. So if you kind of hover down towards the bottom of your screen, you'll see 2 little speech bubbles with a Q&A. That's where you will leave questions that you might have throughout this presentation. Michelle and Tammy will try to answer those questions directly in your IM. If it can't be answered in a few short sentences, we'll hold those till the end, and then we'll let the team go ahead and address those at the end during the Q&A session. So without I know one thing I want to mention. For those who are looking for replay information, this session and all the sessions of VRMU are being recorded, and you'll be able to find those replays as of today. So as the sessions are completed, they will actually be back on the VRMU page. So where you registered, that is where you can find replay information. And just instead of the button where you registered, now it says watch the replay. So as soon as this session is finished and the recording is done and we get it uploaded to YouTube, it will be available. So just keep a lookout there and be sure to share that with your team. Later on today at noon, we have a session with Blue Tent, who's going to be talking about OTAs and driving your business forward in 2021 with OTAs. And then at 2 p.m., you're going to come back for a session with me and our SEO analyst, Chantel Maddox. And we're going to be talking about crisis planning and response, and specifically what VRM has done to kind of help alleviate a few pain points here and there, and specifically just looking back at whether it's natural disaster, financial crisis, health pandemics, and the like, but just taking a little bit different look at those things, and we'd love to have you join us. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Christian, and he's going to get started with our season grid updates and exporting and importing of rates.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. I'd like to also wish everybody a happy Veterans Day. And I would also like to thank Michelle and Tammy and Tracy for also, being on this session. Any questions at all that you have with regards to the functionality we're going to review today, please don't hesitate to ask Tammy and or Michelle any questions at all. They are extremely intelligent and well-versed in this functionality, and if it wasn't for them, it probably wouldn't have been designed correctly in the first place. So without any more to-dos, we're going to get started, and today we're going to review the season grid update first, and then we'll come back and we will review how to export and import rates. With the season grid update, I'm kind of going to take this in a direction where we're going to cover not only how to extend the seasons, which is new functionality, but I'm also going to show you all of the new additions to the season grid we have tried to reformat and redesign this functionality to make it not only easier so that you can see all the seasons at one time, but also to make it more user-friendly, and as well to prevent errors from happening when setting up your different seasons within a season group. The seasons functionality is on the company configuration window, which is located in the sysconfig menu here. And you click on company. And from here, you're going to then pull up the company configuration window, and you'll see that there's a seasons tab. Now, when we first look at the season groups, we don't really see any differences. Yet, when we highlight a season group and we select the View Seasons button, at this time, this is where we're going to see the new grid layout that we've created for season groups. You'll notice that the end user can jump right back to the season groups by selecting the View Season Groups button here. But there's also a Show Old Sessions checkbox at the very top. Now, by default, when your season groups or when your seasons are displaying, pardon me, for a particular season group, it's going to default to the all seasons from the previous year starting January 1. So since we're currently on November 11th, 2020, by default, we're reviewing all seasons starting with the date of January 1st of 2019. If I want to see older seasons, we can do so by selecting the Show Old Seasons checkbox. And you'll notice that when I do that, at that time, I'm going to see all of the old seasons that are currently in the system. So if you wanted to go and you wanted to view your seasons from 5 years ago, you can. You just need to select the Show Old Seasons checkbox, and then you can then scroll up or scroll down and find that season from 5 years ago. But by default, that's a lot of information to view at one time. So when we initially open this window, we're going to only see from the beginning of last year to the current date, and all seasons in the future as well that you set up. Um, so that's the scenario there. Now, you'll notice that there's a Save Changes button at the top and at the bottom of the window here. After you make any type of edit at all on the window, you need to select the Save Changes button. That's very, very, very important, okay? When you create a new season or you edit a season, if you do not select the Save Changes button, your updates and or new seasons will not be saved to the database. So very, very important to get into the habit of always clicking the Save Changes button over and over and over again, okay? At the bottom of the screen here, you'll notice that we have a New Season button. And when we select the New Season button, you'll notice that the start date will automatically default to the next day of the end date of the previous season, okay? We're going to we've designed this new functionality in a way where we're not going to allow you to create a season that has a gap in time from one season to another season, right? So if I come in here and we're going to say VRMU session, okay, and I try to put a date of the second, meaning that there's 1 day of a gap between the season that precedes this season and the new season, and I create an end date, that's fine. You'll notice that when I try to save this season, that it's going to say to me, the VRM season has a 2-day gap from the winter to SAT 2021 season's end date. So we're not even going to allow you to save it anymore. We're trying to make this as user-friendly as possible, but it's also to protect our end users from creating gaps of time from one season to another, which in turn causes all types of errors, not only on your online search engine, but also within the application when performing date searches for availability. So we are going to prevent having a gap from one season to another. Of course, once we don't have a gap, we can come in here and we can create a season very easily, and we can just hit Save Changes. And in doing so now, we've created our first VRMU session season. Now, if I want to edit a season, I can do so by clicking on the little pencil here. And I can, at that time, I can edit the name. I can apply a different end date. As you'll see, I can choose to enforce my start day and enforce my weekly. And I can also apply a default min days configuration. When creating a new season, if you have properties assigned to that season group, if you apply a default min days configuration to that new season and you hit save, it will automatically go through and apply that default min day to your properties. Because once again, we're creating a new season for a season group. So there's no default min days that's been set at the property level, but this only occurs when initially creating a new season. Okay, this will not happen if I come in and I edit my season or my default min days. So if I apply a 7 and I initially created this and I hit save, any properties upon the creation of this will automatically have this default min days value set. But yet if I come in and I edit this value and I edit it to a 10, it's not going to update at the property level. It only happens upon its creation. Now, that being said, there's also an override pre-existing default min days value. If you check this checkbox, all configurations that are set for your seasons are going to be applied to all properties that are assigned to this season group and seasons. So be very mindful that if you've gone through at the property level and you have set up all of your default min date values, as well as whether they're enforced start date and enforced weekly, and then you come in and you decide that you want to select this, keep in mind that you're updating all of your property configured default min days values. Okay, for some that might be fine, but many of our clients have very specific default min day values per each property, and they set it up at the property level. If you do so, you don't ever want to check this checkbox. So just keep that in mind when moving forward. You can also delete a season. And one nice thing about the Save Changes button, okay, is that I can come in here and I can select to delete my season. But I have not deleted this season from the system until I hit that Save Changes button. Once again, I know it sounds like I'm harping, and please don't think of it that way, but any additions or any deleting any entries from the season's grid, if you do not click the Save Changes button, they will not take. Okay, so at this time, even though I've decided to delete this, if I leave, okay, and I decide to leave this window or close this window and I come back, you'll notice that when I come back into my seasons here, that I still have my VRMU session. So once if I want to delete this, I can do so. I can also undo the delete by clicking undo delete. So I can come in here and I can click on multiple to delete, but at any time I can say, you know what, I've decided I'm not gonna delete this one. I'm not gonna delete this one. I'm not gonna delete this one. And then decide that I do want to delete my VRMU session and hit save changes. And it will once again pop up a little message saying, are you sure? And I'll say, yes, I want to delete this. And so by doing so now, I've deleted that from the VRM application. And in turn, I have deleted from the database. So that is basically the new format changes that we have now added to the seasons within a season group. One thing that I always think about is that when looking at this, the biggest thing now is that we are displaying all your seasons where you can see the start and end date. So hopefully with the new additions of not allowing you to have gaps and with it from one season to another, we will alleviate as many accidental issues that occur when setting up your seasons, okay? We're gonna move forward now, and what we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at functionality called extend seasons. This is going to allow you to copy all of your seasons that you have set up per season group for a time frame and move it to the next year. Many of our clients have very complicated seasons set up for their season groups. And that's basically the nature of their business with the way that they handle their rates. And so when it comes time to create your new seasons for the next year, it can be very complicated and time consuming. And we have definitely heard the concern and the pain that it takes when creating new seasons. And so hopefully this will alleviate some of that pain when creating your own seasons, okay? Now, when going through and setting up your seasons, I'm gonna give you a little tip of what I like to do, but this is just me personally, okay? I like to open two of the same windows so that I can see everything that's happening. And remember, when it comes to a window, we can reduce the size of one, so we can have two on the same monitor if you'd like to, or not. But for me, I like to open two of the same windows so that I can see my seasons when I'm copying from one to the other. And when I do so, okay, such as here, when I do so, I'm going to view my seasons here on this, so I can see all my seasons on this side. And then I'm going to say I'm going to extend my seasons on this window. Now, a couple things here that we're going to review, and I'm going to demonstrate to you, but I'm going to explain to you first. The first field is the copy from start date field. Now, what this means is this: the date that I apply in this field. So let's come in here and let's say that I want to, we'll walk through this together. I want to copy all of my seasons from the 2021 year, which is here, okay? Now, the date that I apply has to fall within that first season. It doesn't have to be the first day. It doesn't have to be the last day, but it has to fall within that season that you have set here. So when I come in here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I can put the 9th. I can put the 9th, I can put the 10th, I can put the 15th, I can put whatever, but the start date has to fall within the first season that you want to copy over to the new year, okay? And then it's going to tell me where I'm going to copy from. Now, it defaults to the last season of, that you have set up, but yet you can change this. So if I want to copy January, March, and the June seasons, so winter, spring, and summer, but I don't want to copy fall and winter, I can do so. And I can do so by putting an end date in that time frame of that last season. Now, that's not really logical because remember, you're usually extending it for a year out. So if I do that, what that means is that I'm creating an entire year of seasons with only 3 seasons instead of my typical 5 as I have generally. But we can do it just for an example so you get to see what happens. So from here, I'm going to say, all right, I'm just going to copy these 3 seasons for the entire next year, okay, moving forward. And I'm going to do so by putting June 5th in the date. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click June 11th. That's fine. Okay. Now, the next thing I can do as well is you basically have to choose how you want to adjust it. And when adjusting it, what that means is, am I adjusting it for 1 year? Am I adjusting it for 2 years? Do I want to make this 2 years out? So I want to make these three seasons for 2 years of time. That's not logical really, but you have the ability. Here, we're just going to adjust it for 1 year, and don't worry, we're going to delete these seasons, so we're going to play as much as we want with this. Now, the next thing you can do as well is you can adjust the days. Remember, each year generally starts on a different day, meaning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And in our season that's January 1st, 2021, that might have started on a Friday, which was perfect for how we have our property set up. But in this scenario, it might start the next day. This value that can be applied in the just days field can be a positive or a negative value. So if the beginning of my season started on a Friday, but because the way the new year works is starting, it's a Thursday, I can put a 1 in here and it'll once again start that on a Friday, okay? But if it's once again on a Friday, but now this new year's starting on a Saturday, I can put a -1 value and therefore it'll start 1 day behind. And we'll play with this as well, but let's put a value in here that we'll actually see a difference in the season. Let's put 10. That makes it easier, okay? The next thing we'll do as well is we can decide if we want to include the default min days. And that's the configurations that you currently have set up already. And if you want to include those, you check this and it'll carry those over to the new seasons as well. Now you can choose not to, and it'll just be null or blank when you move the new season. And don't worry, we're going to do a couple extensions so you see them and run through some different scenarios so you can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Now, when I hit extend seasons, in doing so, you'll now see that at the bottom here, once this is done, at the bottom here, we have our new seasons that start, as we said. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, so we have winter, winter 2 SAT 2021. Okay, winter 2 SAT 2021, there we go. Okay, there's our season. And then you'll notice that the first one started January 1st. Okay. And you'll notice that because we added 10 to it, that basically it's starting 10 days because we want to look at this. This is what we're looking at, spring here. Okay, we have spring SAT 2021. That started on the 1st, but you'll notice that our new season, that's spring SAT 2021, that's going to start on the 11th. Okay, and you'll notice that June, that's going to start as well on the 11th because we put that 10-day difference. Now that might not be realistic in normal scenarios, but that is how that went through in this scenario. Okay, and so and in turn, you'll notice that it follows through and it copies those. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to delete these because we're going to keep playing here, and I want to see all of the difference that we can do so that you can get an idea of what we're doing. And I'm going to save these changes. So we're going to bring it back to our original configurations as we had here, winter for 2SAT 2021. And let's go through and let's go back and let's once again, let's do an extend season. And this time I want to extend it. I want to copy all of my seasons over. Okay, I'm gonna leave it to 12/31 here. And this time I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do January once again, January 1. Or any time in that season. I can do the 20th, the 2nd, the 20th is fine. And this time we're going to adjust. We can adjust for a year again, or let's adjust for 2 years and let's see what happens, just to see. We're just playing here. And then I'm going to put a -10 in here. And this time I'm not going to include my default min days. And I'm going to extend my seasons. So now I've created my new seasons. And remember, this is where we start on this side. We can come down here and we look at winter 1 SAT 2021, and you'll see that, it's winter 1 SAT 2021. There we go. Okay. And we'll see that the last day of that season where it started, where we copied our new seasons, which is, let's see, winter 1. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's going to basically go through, and you'll notice this time that instead, here's the season that we copied. Here's our new season. Okay. Okay, here's our new season. That when we did that, what happens is the end date now, instead of being the 28th, it's the 18th. And that's because we put that -10 value in. So we can either increase the days of when it's going to start for the next, or decrease it. So that's why we're seeing the disparity between those two time frames. And you'll notice as well that we didn't carry over the default values as well. You'll also notice that now that we've reduced the number of days of this season group, that the next season is going to start exactly where that fell off. So it's going to be February 19th. You'll notice here for spring SAT 2021 that started on March 1st. But because we reduced the number of days of that season by 10, we're not going to allow you to create any gaps. Gaps in seasons cause problems with rate calculation. So we're basically, by altering it, we've gone through, and now we have a different time frame that is the start date as well as the end date for each season because of that +10 or -10 value that we applied. And let's delete all these and let's do one that's just straight with none of the plus and or minus. And we're going to delete these. And the nice thing about it is it makes it very easy if you do make a mistake to come in here and delete your new seasons and start again. Okay. So now we're going to come back. Now we've got it back to our original default set here. Okay. We've got it back to our original default set. And this time we're going to go back once again, and we're going to go through, and this is what I generally probably you'll see is we're going to see somebody who's going to copy in January, and we're going to copy the full year, and we're only going to extend 1 year. Okay, and I'm not going to put any adjust days. I can include them in default min days. That's not a problem. And now I'm going to extend my seasons. Great. So now what we have here is we have winter SAT January 1. And remember, the one thing that does make it, I will be the first one to say, the one thing that makes it sometimes a little bit hard is that we copy over the naming convention for your new seasons. So one thing you will want to do when you extend your season is come in here and you're going to want to edit your naming convention. Because the first thing I would do, quite honestly, is I would come in here and I would edit this, and this is the edit I would do. That's it. I would just change each one of the naming conventions for these. And you can do them all at once, which makes it very convenient. So it's not as if you're having to edit one and then come back, edit one and then come back. But this, that's the hardest part, is knowing that the names of your previous seasons are going to carry over to the new seasons, and trying to review them and making sure they're correct could be a little bit, it could be a little bit difficult. All right, so now I'm looking at, and I'm going to compare my seasons from the season I copied, January 1st, 2021, to, as you'll see, winter. So January 1st, copies it straight over. Now we changed the naming convention, but you'll notice that it copies it straight over the same way that it was set up. And so hopefully that will alleviate a lot of the manual updating of your seasons every single year, year in and year out. Remember, this is one of those things that we tried to make this as easy as possible. I know it might seem a little complicated, but when you start using it, one trick, open two windows with the same seasons tab, so you can review one to the other. That might make it a little easier. And the other thing being said, remember, you can always extend a season or extend seasons and then come in here and delete them and do it again. Okay, just make sure you don't delete your original seasons, you know, but once again, that's why you might want to change your naming conventions. Okay. And so that is the updates that we have applied not only to these seasons and the season grid, but also the ability to extend your seasons from one year to another, hopefully as easily as possible. The next thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at the ability now in the VRM application to export and import rates. Now, let me be very clear on something. This functionality is designed to allow you to update existing rates. This functionality is not in place to create new rates, okay? You cannot come in and create new rates within a rate group for this functionality. So keep that in mind, all right? And I will mention that multiple times, and we're also going to perform a couple tests where we try to alter the spreadsheet and import it back into the system, and you'll see that we're validating that so that the only things that you can update are existing rates and the values for the existing rates themselves. All right? Okay. So from within the properties drop-down menu, you can go to the rates window, and from here you'll notice that you have all your seasons groups, and we'll click on VRM Saturday. And from here as well, we can go in and we can look at, we've got beach times 2, and sun-kissed. And from here, I'm going to do the double window as well, just so that you can see two windows of the same information at the same time. For me, it makes it easier, but sometimes it's not easier for everybody to see that, but we'll go from there and go on. All right, so now what I'm going to do is let's look at beach times first. Let's go in here and let's look at the rates. So we'll see that the rates for beach time are set up in this manner. Okay. Here's the seasons that we were just playing with, if you remember that. And as well, we can come in and we can look at beach times 2 as well. And I'll tell you why. We're going to look at each one of these, and I'm going to show you why in just a moment. Okay, there we go. Now, from here, I'm just going to open up the rates so we have something to look at here. And you'll notice that when we open up the rates window now, there's an export and there's an import button. Okay. Now, when it comes to exporting and you click on the export button, a pop-up window is or a new window is going to display, and it's going to say export from start date. Now, this is a little different than the extending of the seasons. Remember, when I was showing you the extending of the seasons, you can basically extend the season by putting the date wherever you want in that season, and it'll grab that season and extend it and copy it over for the next year. That's not the scenario here. Here, you want to choose the date before the rates you want to copy. Okay, so in our case, what we want to do is we want to copy all of the rates for 2021. And we can see that the rate or the season of Winter 1 SAT 2021. That's the first rate group for 2021. So when we put in our date here to export, we want to put the date of 12/31/2020 or anything that's before that one. So we could put 11/30, 11/31, 12/15, whatever, but it just needs to be before this rate. And this time we're going to put 12/30. There we go. Make sure, oh, sorry, that's going to be 20. There we go. All right. So we've basically come in here. We want to export all of the rates for 2021, and we want to update those values. And the reason why I went through and I showed you each one of the different configure or the different rate groups here and the rates per each rate group, because you don't get a choice to just pull out one rate group. You're going to pull out all of the rate groups per that specific season group when you export. But you'll notice that we also keep them grouped so it's easy to read and easy to look at. And I'll show you that right now. Now, when I click export rates, let's come back in here. We're going to go to beach times. Let's go there. When I hit export rates, at that time now, you'll notice that it's going to open my rates in Excel. And it's going to open it on my other monitor on my screen. So I'm going to pull it over. So when it opens it, you'll see here, okay, we're going to enable editing. And remember, if you don't know Excel, it's very, very easy. There's lots of tutorials online to extend a column. All you got to do is double click on it and it'll extend it so the value within the largest value within that field will open up so you can see them as easy as possible. And like I said, if you ever have any problem with anything with Excel, please go online and just do a Google search. There's so many tutorials on it. It's unbelievable. Now, what you'll see here is that when we exported our rates, that we exported it for every single rate group that was in this season. We didn't just export it for beach times, we exported it for sun-kissed, beach times, and beach times 2. Now, that doesn't mean that we need to update all of these rates just to change 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. We can just change 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, which we're going to do, and import it back in. Okay, and so what we'll do first, if you want to update your rates, the first thing you do, you find out your time frame, you export the rates, and then let's come in here and let's add some rates. And once again, we're going to update this one. We're going to update this one. Okay, we're going to update this one. We're just going to update some random ones. Ooh, not what we're using. We're going to update some random ones here, just so we got some values. And it doesn't, like I said, this is all just test data, so we can play with it and have fun. Okay. Now, the next thing you do after you update your rates that you want, okay, you then need to save it. And you can save it with any naming convention that you want. It defaults to the following name, though. It gives you the date. It gives you the, this is the season group, and it tells you what you've done. Okay, so if I come in here and I click File and I hit Save As, I'm going to put it to this PC. Okay, you'll notice that this is the default naming convention when you export to an Excel spreadsheet, but we can name it whatever we'd like to. So once again, for my purposes, we're going to name this VRMU session 1. Okay, and I'm going to save this. Okay, and now I've saved my Excel spreadsheet that I've modified my rates on. Now I'm going to close this because I don't need this open anymore. Got it saved on my hard drive. And I'm going to cancel exporting it here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to import my rates. So when we want to edit our rates, we export first, we update the rates, we save that Excel spreadsheet, and we import them back in. So we can come in here, hit import. We can either choose, you can just click on the box and it'll open up a window to choose a file, or if you had your file open already, you could just drag and pull it over if you wanted to. We'll come in here now. There's my VRMU session 1. I'm gonna hit open. It pulls it in. And when I say upload, what it's going to do then is it's now uploading my file into the database, and then it gives me basically an "Are you sure you want to do this?" message. And here, what it shows as well is it's going to show us all of the rates that we updated. And if we say save rates, it's going to make those changes to our rates in the system. Okay, and this is the time where you can come in if you want to. You got to remember, I'm ultra OCD, so like I would pull up. I don't know why. I check everything. I would pull up my Excel spreadsheet and I would say, okay, are these actually matching? You know, are these values actually matching what they're showing me here to here? And but that's just me because I can't help myself sometimes. And so I could come in here and say, okay, they're matching. All right, I feel comfortable with this. I'm not gonna mess anything up. And now I hit save rates. And it will tell me that my rates imported into the system successfully. And now I can come in here and I can go and I can look at my rate groups, such as beach times, because remember we added, let's go to Sunkissed first, because that was the top of our list. Here's Sunkissed, and we can look at our rates, and now we can come down here and we can see where we updated our rates by the Excel spreadsheet. And we can do that for each group. So the next one is beach times. We can come in here and we can look at it as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. There's 9876, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can also look at beach times 2. There we go. Beach times 2. As we'll see, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5, and 5, 6, 4, 5. So that is one way that we can come through and we can update our rates. Now, what else does this do? Is it basically allows you as well, if you, let's say you go in and you make a mistake on your rates, and going into each and every rate group, you make one mistake or you want to apply, how about if you just want to apply a 10% increase across all your rates for a time frame? We make that very easy now for you to do so. So if I come in here once again and I say, okay, but I always do this. I always do the double window thing because it makes it easy. I come in here and I say, once again, I want to look at everything for 2021. I want to see all my rates for 2021. I'm going to export it. I'm going to export it from 12/31 to 2020, which is good. That's where I was before. So that's perfect. I'm going to export my rates. And in doing so, oh, great. It's going to open on my window this time. Perfect. So in here, once again, I can go into enable editing. And at this time, I can double click on each column to, open it up so you can see, make it nice and neat, nice and clean. Here we go. And so if I want to go in and I say, oh, you know what, I made a mistake on my rates for the year 2020, this makes it very easy to come in here and change them very quickly. It also makes it very easy if you want to add a 10% increase across the board. It's very easy to do that now. Once again, Excel is a very robust tool. It's very easy to write very simple calculation increases and decreases for each cell. It's a very easy thing to use. There's lots of tutorials online. So anytime that you have any questions about it, you can just go online and say, how do I increase everything by 10% on an Excel spreadsheet for a certain block of cells? It's very easy to do so, okay? Now, another thing though, the only values that you can update in the Excel spreadsheet are the rates. You cannot create new rates here. You cannot create new rate groups here, okay? Watch what happens. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna mirror this, okay? I'm gonna mirror this value from one to the other, okay? Right, and I'm gonna try to trick the system here, okay? I'm gonna try to trick the system, and we're gonna call this winter 3 into creating a new rate group, okay? And I'm gonna say March. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna create this new group because I can do it. It's not gonna stop me, all right? All right, so there we go. And now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save this one. And once again, I'm gonna save this to my documents to make it nice and easy. There we go. I want to call this VRMU session. Call this 2. That's fine. Just make it simple for ourselves. There we go. All right. So now what I've done is I've gone in and I've basically tried to create a new rate group for beach times 2. And I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to try to import this. And there's our session 2. Okay. And then I'm going to try to upload this. And in doing so, it immediately goes through and it shows me that this does not match with the season name in the system. So it's not going to let you do it. Okay. Even if we go through and let's go through and let's do that again. Let's export one. We'll just export it from the same time frame. Here we go. Even if I do something as simple as changing the naming convention of one of my season names. Okay. The only thing, so even if I just came in here and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna come in here. Oh, let me enable editing, sorry. Let's try that again, sorry. There we go. So even if it's just something as simple as going through and changing the name of one of our seasons and saving it, it's once again, it's going to identify it when trying to import it into the database, and it's going to throw an error and it's going to say this isn't going to go through. And if that happens, my advice to you is to start over. Just delete that Excel spreadsheet and do a new export and start new, because there's no reason for you to try to go through and fix something that you've altered that you shouldn't have altered. And so once again, when we try to import this, and we try to upload it, once again, it tells me immediately where I've tried to alter a value within the spreadsheet that will not be accepted when attempting to import. So that's basically the new ability to export and now import your rates into the VRM application. I see this as being one of those tools where it's going to allow you to apply mass updates to your rates very simply. And once again, as I have to mention, if you ever have a question on how to do something in Excel, all you have to do is Google it. There's so many tutorials out there. So, well, guys, thank you so much. That was my little tutorial for you today. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask. And how about I open up the floor to Tammy and Michelle, and I'll let you guys, what kind of questions do we have that we might be able to solve here?
We do not have any questions at this time. We had one question come through that we've answered. I know, Patty, that is a lot of information, but you'll be fine. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out to the help desk. Okay.
Now, one thing as well that I have to make sure that I'm very clear on, we have some wonderful people at VRM that write amazing documentation, okay? Everything that we've reviewed today, we have documented, and we can always provide that to you as well. But as Michelle said, we're always here. You can always shoot us an email. We're always happy to help. Even if we have to get online and walk you through it, it's never a problem.
And just in case anybody missed the question, it is there for everybody to see, but it was, what if you delete a season in the middle of creating a gap? And Michelle let them know that because our system does not allow the gaps, it's going to give you an error message to let you know that it's not going to happen. So it won't just do it and then leave you open and not knowing that you don't have a gap there. So it will stop you. It will prevent you from doing that. And then you can go back and fix it and then actually delete it. So it was a great question that Patty asked. So thank you for asking that, Patty. And I don't believe any other questions have come in.
Patty has let us know that I misunderstood her hyperventilating, but she's very excited about this.
Oh, okay. No, that's wonderful. And you know what, Tammy, you're 100% correct. That now with the new season grid update, we have tried to prevent, of course, we're human, and so we err as well. So we can't sit here and say anything's foolproof, okay, trust me. But we tried to prevent the creation of gaps between rate groups, and it's going to stop you. It's not going to let you it's not going to allow you to save your changes until you alter your dates. And here's the other thing. We've also verified that when we started validating this functionality, we were using test databases that we had created in-house, and I create all kinds of problems within my own test databases. And there were gaps. So we released this functionality to a database where there were gaps in my rates. Before I could save new changes, it made me go back and fix my gaps in my old seasons. So it's almost going to checks and balance you on making sure you have your seasons set up correctly in the system. So.
Looks like another question just came in. You guys see that one?
Yeah. So the question, Christian, is Ruth is asking, she said she noticed that when the 2 years adjust was done, the first season was 1/1/21 to 2/23/2023, but shouldn't it have been 1/1/21 to 2/23/21?
I noticed that as well, Ruth, and I will be looking at it today. And I'll give you a better answer when I'm looking at it, because I saw that as well, and I just wanted to analyze it internally before I started speaking on it.
Okay, so we'll reach out to you individually, Ruth, on that. And when we push through the whatever update may need to be done, or if there was an error, then it'll be on the help article that you can find in the help center. Stephanie has also asked, will we need to unapply archived units from a season group if we want to clean up the list of inactive groups? I don't know the answer to that, Christian.
Off the top of my head, I don't know either. We still need to unapply archived units from a season group if we want to clean up the list. Yes, you will. Yes, the answer to that is yes, you will still need to unapply.
All right, I think that, are there any other questions anybody has? Give everybody a second here to see if there's typing, but Christian, great job. Thank you so much for walking us through all of that. I really appreciate it.
And guys, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you all have a very lovely Veterans Day and a good day to all of our veterans out there. Thank you very much for your service.
All right, everybody. Well, we hope we will see you back here later this afternoon at noon for our session with Blue Tent. And then this afternoon also at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for a session with myself and Chantel Maddox on crisis planning and response. And then, of course, tomorrow we also have a full day planned for you at 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 2 p.m. 2 p.m. will be the close tomorrow. So please be sure to watch that. That'll be with Jonathan Hickman. He'll be going over our roadmap for 2021 at VRM, and Scott Butler, our general manager, will also be on that session. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. These are available for replay. That's on the same page where you registered, and we'll be getting that information out to you individually as well. So thanks so much, everyone. Thank you, Tammy, Michelle, and Christian. We'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.
Bye.